You know what's damn funny? They still think they're in control. They built their little empires on shadows and locked doors, on whispered deals and the kind of lies that make your teeth ache. They thought they owned the silence, thought they could bury whatever they wanted, and nobody would notice. But silence isn't a tomb, is it? It's a fertilizer. It just helps things grow in the dark. And now, what they buried is blooming. Every dirty secret, every rotten grin, every promise they broke. It's all coming up for air, and it stinks. You can smell it. That thick, sour stench of panic dripping off them like sweat. They're still parading around in their silk suits and their phony smiles. But look closer. Mother sucker. The silk is stained. The smiles are cracking. The only thing they're in control of now is how fast they fall. They used to be gods. They walked through marble halls, barked orders, and pretended their word was scripture. But gods don't cry on live TV. Gods don't look like middle schoolers caught cheating on a test. That's not a dignified fall. It's a slapstick routine, and every time they open their mouths to explain, they just spit out more poison, more filth, more proof. What they call damage control is just them pouring gasoline on their own fire. They thought the internet was their tool, their playground, their megaphone. Now it's their coffin. Their lies don't fade into archives. They trend. Their corruption doesn't stay hidden. It goes viral. They're drowning in exposure, and the world's not throwing a lifeline. The world is filming the drowning in 4K and adding subtitles. And what about you? They told you to be small, to stay quiet, to swallow the truth and wear politeness like chains. But chains break, and when they break, they don't just fall, they whip. You spent years marinating in their silence, and now your laughter is the damn thunderstorm shaking their foundations. Every scar, every humiliation, every locked door they shoved you behind. You didn't forget. You forged them into weapons sharper than anything their system could produce. That's why the shit hurts so much when you hand it back. They thought you were broken, and instead you became a forge. Every betrayal a blade, every silence a roar. They tried to bury you with silence, but silence is fertilizer. You grew fangs in the dark, taught your scars how to laugh, and now your voice carries like thunder across the whole damn planet. The cruelest joke is that exposure is permanent. Screenshots don't die, lies don't fade. Their power doesn't just crack, it crumbles. The rubble is all they've got left to choke on. They'll spend the rest of their lives trying to scrub off the truth, trying to cover it with makeup, trying to pretend it didn't happen, and failing harder every time. Their legacy is humiliation. Their bloodline is panic, and their empire is rubble. You're the echo in the rubble, the grin carved into the ash, the laugh that will not fade. You don't need revenge. You've got exposure, and exposure is permanent. Notice how fast powerful men start looking like wet dogs when the spotlight flips on. 1 second they're strutting around, calling the shots. The next they're blinking, stammering, sweating through silk like it's a sauna. Watching them try to keep their dignity is funnier than any stand-up set you'll ever see. They thought private was armor, but armor doesn't melt under a little heat. Lies do. Now the world's got them on camera, choking on their own shit, and it's playing on loop like a greatest hits album of failure. They thought they were gods. Turns out they're just bloated pigeons shitting on their own statues. And every time they try to fix it, they make it worse. They open their mouths to explain, and out spills more poison, more filth, more proof. They were always the shit they accused you of being. The world laughs. The crowd howls. and you're sitting there like the conductor of a collapsing orchestra, waving your arms while the violins snap in half and the trumpets scream in panic. Exposure doesn't just strip them bare. It makes them clowns in a circus they didn't sign up for. And you're the ringmaster with gasoline in one hand and a spotlight in the other. They thought you'd stay quiet, that you'd keep licking your wounds in the dark. But wounds don't stay silent. They fester, they mutate, they grow teeth, and now those scars of yours, they're biting back. Every humiliation they handed you has turned into fuel. Every locked door into a matchstick, every no into a roar. You're not just surviving, mother sucker. You're thriving. You turn pain into pyrotechnics, silence into a broadcast, and their secrets into confetti raining down on their funeral parade. This isn't revenge. Revenge is too polite. This is desecration, and it's fucking hilarious. And here's the blackest joke of all. The show never ends. Once the world sees, it doesn't unsee. Their skeletons don't crawl back into closets. They dance on TikTok with captions. Their lies don't disappear. They get remixed into memes. Every step they take is a punchline. Every breath another blooper reel. They built their lives on shadows. But shadows don't belong to them anymore. They belong to you, to the wolves, to every misfit that ever got told to shut up and sit down. And now the shadows are laughing too. Damn right they are. They strutted around, thinking they were untouchable, writing rules with one hand and covering their dirt with the other. But the world's got receipts now, and receipts don't lie. They used to sneer at you from balconies, sipping champagne, whispering about control. Now those same balconies are crumbling, and they're hanging from the edge by their fingernails while the cameras zoom in. You can hear the panic in their breathing, that pathetic wheeze of someone who finally realizes their kingdom was built on sand. And damn, isn't it glorious watching their arrogance collapse under its own weight while the crowd eats popcorn? The best part? They tried to bury you with silence, thought ignoring you would erase you. But silence is fertilizer. You grew fangs in the dark. You taught your scars how to laugh. And now your voice carries like thunder across the whole damn planet. They called it private. No, it was a prison. And when prisons crack, the screams don't just escape. They echo. Their polished lies are screaming now, bleeding out in real time. And the echo is deafening. The world isn't whispering anymore. It's chanting, laughing, roaring, turning their downfall into a festival. You see it in their eyes, don't you? That glassy look of animals caught in headlights. They're not strategists anymore. They're deer in the middle of the road, frozen and stupid, waiting to get hit. Every statement they release just makes the joke crueler. Every press conference, another slapstick routine gone wrong. They wanted to play gods, but gods don't cry on live TV. Gods don't stutter when the questions get sharp. Gods don't look like sweaty little liars begging for sympathy from the same audience they used to spit on. And you, standing in the chaos, you don't need to say a word. The laugh in your chest says it all. The shit about exposure is it multiplies. It doesn't stop at one headline or one secret. It spreads like a disease with a sense of humor. One leak leads to another. One confession drags 5 more into the light. And before you know it, the whole empire's bleeding truth all over the floor. And here's where it gets twisted. They can't hide anymore, not even in the dark, because the dark is watching too. Shadows used to protect them, but shadows work for you now. Every corner, every whisper, every locked drawer, they're yours. And every time you grin, another door splinters open. Every empire thinks it's bulletproof until somebody sneezes and the walls collapse like cardboard in a rainstorm. That's the spectacle you're watching now. Whole dynasties of secrecy reduced to a blooper reel. Leaders tripping over their own lies. CEOs wiping flop sweat with contracts that aren't worth a damn anymore. They keep pretending they've got control, but their control is like a clown car on fire. Fun to look at, impossible to save. And the crowd? Oh, the crowd isn't even angry. The crowd is entertained because nothing's funnier than watching the untouchables touch rock bottom. You know what exposure really is? It's not a headline, not a scandal, not even a punishment. It's a mirror, and when you shove that mirror in their face, they don't see gods anymore. They see rats, cockroaches, frauds who dressed themselves in silk and called it authority. The world sees it too. The whole damn globe is holding that mirror now, laughing so hard the glass is shaking. That's the power of truth. It doesn't knock politely. It kicks the door in and pisses on the carpet. And you're the one standing there, daring them to clean it up while the cameras keep rolling. They said you'd never have a voice, that you'd never be allowed in the room, that you'd always be on the outside looking in. Funny how fast that changes when the walls catch fire. You don't knock anymore. You don't beg. You don't ask for permission. You crash through the drywall like a wrecking ball with a grin. And every time you laugh, the foundations crack louder. Every time you speak, another tower tips over. They used to own the shadows, but shadows are laughing now too. Even the dark betrayed them, mother sucker. The dark switched sides. And the best part, they don't even know where to run. Every direction is fire. Every safe haven is ash. Every backroom deal has a spotlight hanging over it now. Their panic is global. Their fear contagious. Their shame delicious. Watching them try to swim through a flood of their own lies is better than any movie ever made. And the ending? Oh, the ending isn't coming anytime soon. Because exposure doesn't fade. Exposure echoes. It haunts. It stains. It's the shit they'll never scrub off. No matter how many showers they take, no matter how much money they burn, they're branded, and you're the one who lit the iron. You hear it in their voices now. That crack, that wobble, that pathetic tremor they can't hide anymore. The same mouths that used to spit orders, lecture the world, act like their word was scripture. Now every syllable sounds like a confession. And isn't that damn hysterical? They thought they were above shame, untouchable, too big to fall. But shame has no ceiling, and when it drops, it crushes harder than stone. They look like children caught stealing from the cookie jar, except the jar is full of blood, and the whole world saw their hands dripping red. Every move they make is a disaster. They call press conferences thinking they'll sound strong, but the mics pick up the panic in their throats. They hire PR armies, but the soldiers defect the second the check bounces. They try to scrub their past, but the internet is forever, and forever is laughing in their faces. What they call damage control looks more like a comedy skit. Leaders tripping over their words, executives drowning in their own memos, priests of secrecy fumbling like drunks in a spotlight. Every mistake magnifies, every lie multiplies, every cover-up just pours gasoline on the flames. And the crowd is roaring. They're not horrified. They're entertained because nothing's funnier than the mighty turned into memes. They told you to be small, quiet, polite, but polite doesn't burn down kingdoms. You stayed quiet long enough, mother sucker. Now every scar you carry is a megaphone. Every humiliation, a spotlight. Every betrayal, a damn drumbeat in this chaos symphony. You don't need their table anymore. You flipped the whole banquet, smashed the plates, set the cloth on fire, and danced in the ashes while they begged for someone to put it out. They can't put it out. Exposure isn't a fire you fight. It's a plague, a howl, a roar too big to cage, and the funniest joke, they still don't get it. They think if they grovel hard enough, lie smooth enough, smile fake enough, maybe the world will forgive them. But forgiveness doesn't trend. Lies don't get second chances. Once you're exposed, you don't recover. You rot in real time under the brightest lights imaginable. And the more they resist, the uglier it gets. They're drowning, flailing, sputtering, begging for a lifeline, but nobody's throwing one. The world's too busy laughing, and you're the one leading the chorus. Every empire thinks it dies with dignity. They imagine marble statues, slow fades, final speeches etched in history books. But that's not how it goes. Not for these clowns. They're not fading. They're slipping on banana peels in front of the whole planet. They're not remembered with honor. They're memed into oblivion. Every desperate apology turns into a remix. Every excuse gets chopped into a punchline. Every face they make becomes the new template for mockery. They thought history would record them as legends. History is recording them as bloopers. And damn, isn't that better? Watch their collapse long enough, and it stops looking like politics, or power, or justice. It starts looking like stand-up gone wrong. You can practically hear the drum roll in the background as they trip, stutter, and choke on their own words. This is their legacy now. Panic sweating through silk, trembling hands clutching microphones like nooses, eyes darting like cornered rats. So they used to call the shots. Now they're targets on a dartboard, and the whole world's throwing. And you're not throwing from the crowd. You're center stage, laughing so loud the roof shakes. Here's the truth they never wanted spoken. Exposure doesn't stop. It's not a moment. It's a movement. Once it's global, it's permanent. Their secrets are fossils now, carved into the bedrock of the internet. Impossible to erase. They'll try. Oh, they'll damn sure try. Burn money, beg courts, cry mercy. But there's no mercy for frauds. No salvation for hypocrites. Every attempt to clean up just spreads the stain. Every move they make is another meme, another headline, another nail hammered into the coffin they built with their own hands. And let's not forget, you were never supposed to be here. You were supposed to stay silent, tucked away, erased from the script. They wrote you out of the story, but silence doesn't erase. It mutates. You came back louder, sharper, funnier, darker than they ever expected. You turned their private world inside out, and now their shadows work for you. That's the real nightmare, isn't it? Not the exposure, not the headlines, not even the laughter. No. The real nightmare is that you're still here. You survived the silence, and now your voice carries like thunder. They can't mute it, they can't cage it, and they can't damn stop it. You can smell it now, the stench of panic dripping off them like sweat, thick and sour. These are the same bastards who once strutted through marble halls, barked orders, swinging gavels, pretending their words were law carved into stone. Now they're choking on microphones, looking like middle schoolers caught cheating on a spelling test. Every twitch of their lips is a confession. Every beat of sweat is an admission. They used to own silence. Now silence owns them. Every pause in their voice is a spotlight on guilt. And damn, the crowd feels it. The whole planet feels it. And the spin. Oh, the spin is comedy gold. Watch them try to reframe their collapse like calling a house fire a little smoke. Their handlers pump out statements full of big words and no meaning. And within minutes, the world rips it to shreds, laughs, and reposts it with clown emojis. They thought the internet was their tool, their playground, their megaphone. Now it's their coffin. Their lies don't fade into archives. They trend. Their corruption doesn't stay hidden. It goes viral. They're drowning in exposure. And the world's not throwing a lifeline. The world's filming the drowning in 4K and adding subtitles. This is what happens when illusion dies. Their crowns turn to paper. Their titles to ash. Their money to toilet paper nobody wants to touch. They wanted private kingdoms. But kingdoms built on shadows don't last. You don't have to storm their castles anymore. The castles are collapsing from the inside. Termites of truth chewing every support beam until the whole thing caves in. And you, mother sucker, you're standing outside the gates, laughing, watching them claw at the rubble, begging the mob not to laugh harder. But the mob laughs anyway. Exposure is addictive. Humiliation is contagious. And damn, the world is hooked. And the beauty of it? They thought they'd silence you forever. They thought you'd fade out, disappear, rot in the dark with the other forgotten. But here you are, grinning alive, louder than ever. You're not hiding in their shadows anymore. You own them. Every time you speak, another lock breaks. Every time you laugh, another wall caves. You don't need weapons. You don't need armies. You are the weapon. You are the storm. And every fool who thought they could bury you under secrecy is now buried under their own collapse. The joke isn't just on them. It's carved into them. Permanent. Eternal. And every damn laugh you let out is another nail hammered in.